Hi all, this is Dr. Sage Breslin and this is Wisdom Wednesdays. So we had a little break last week. I was on the East Coast and allowing myself just to be consumed with my grandson and my daughter and some remodeling projects. And while I think in the past I have tried to shoot something on demand, I made an executive decision to give myself a little break. So I am back this week, back in the swing of things, back in the fold, back with you all. And I found myself thinking about, how I see myself, how I see my role in the world and with all of you. I am certainly, a stepdaughter, a mother, a friend, a therapist, a coach, a listener, a shaman. There are so many hats that I wear in my life, so many roles that I play. But I thought about, what is the role that I want to serve and what does that mean? And as I was driving in today, I just heard the words, I am a safe haven. It's an interesting thing. I absolutely aspire to be a safe haven for anyone who needs it. But as the day moved on, I started to think about, how does that work? If I am a safe haven, like a lighthouse might be, what kind of position does that put you in? So if you come to me and I'm your safe haven, it would be a disservice to you unless I teach you how to be your own safe haven. Being a safe haven for somebody who is in transition from one, say, unhealthy environment to the next is certainly something I spent a lot of time doing in my career. And now I think I do provide safe haven for a lot of folks who are not yet seen or heard, who don't quite know their own truth or reality, who are still in that transition process to seeing themselves as powerful beings. So what does it mean? What does it mean to be a safe haven? I think for me, it means that I am here to listen. I am here to treat you with respect and compassion and kindness, yet also to confront anything that is keeping you from acknowledging your own superpowers, your own rights, responsibilities, powers, your own characteristics and facets. So, what would it be like to learn to be your own safe haven? First, I think it comes down to, for me, looking below the surface at things that will get in your way. If there are people in your life who have taught you that you are unreliable, that you can't take care of yourself, that you'll never be good enough, that you won't ever be enough, that you don't meet their expectations, all of those kinds of negative self-talk, all of that nonsense is used against you to keep you small, to keep you malleable. For people who are in unhealthy or violent relationships, it's what leads us to develop Stockholm syndrome. It is what keeps us, malleable for a perpetrator. If they push us down enough, then we will kowtow. We will take on their truth as our own because it's easier. It keeps us alive. It keeps us perhaps out of harm's way for a minute, right? Until the next time. So discovering those things, uncovering those things that may keep us small, may keep us less empowered or powerless, may keep us without a voice, or may keep us from being a force to be reckoned with. Those things are really important to dredge up and figure out, sometimes even just confronting why they were put into service. Imagine if you were playing a tape, Spotify in your head, and you really didn't like the music, um, would you keep it on, or might you eject it, right? Or delete it, or whatever it is today, right? You'd say, skip this, go on to the next scene, thumbs down, right? But we rarely think of doing that as people. We rarely think like, gee, I can't remember a time when I didn't think of myself as less than. Well, guess what? When we came into the world as babies, we didn't come in with that stuff. So whether it was parents or grandparents, coaches, siblings, teachers, uh, whatever, pastors that fed us that information, they became the tape in our head. And over time, of course, we make things simpler because that's how the brain is designed. We just put it in our own voice. Oh, wow, now we're really in trouble, right? Because we think it's our own thoughts, we think it's our own voice, and it's not until somebody comes along and says, well, how long have you thought that you weren't good enough? Oh, well, gosh, since I was a little kid, I don't remember ever a time. Okay, well, that's interesting. Kids don't come in thinking like that. So let's talk about who you were exposed to. Who are the other people in your life and how did they treat you? How did they talk to you? And usually the voice is identifiable after even a pretty short conversation. And then I guess it's choosing to eject those conversations, choosing to eject those tapes in your head, choosing to believe in yourself, even if you don't know who that is, rather than somebody else whose voice became ever present in your head. So once we're able to identify what lurks below the surface, then we can make a choice to eliminate what's been lurking, right? And then it really requires that we figure out who we are, right? This is, the 60s and the 70s. Let's find ourselves, right? Well, right. No, that's exactly what we need to do. And sometimes that takes some help. I think back to that movie with Julia Roberts, The Runaway Bride. And with every relationship she had, she would morph into all of the interests and tastes of the person that she was with. And it wasn't until she was confronted about what kind of eggs she liked best that she really understood how she didn't know what she liked. She didn't know who she was at the core. She just kept on borrowing everyone else's likes and dislikes and paths and interests. And so at the end of the day, she had to put herself in a position where she made a whole bunch of different eggs and then sampled them all to determine which inherently did she like best. And that is where her journey to learning about herself began. So it is true, we can start with our interests. That can help guide us into an understanding of who we are. Sometimes, though, we go a little deeper below the surface and we look to our attachment to the divine to gain a sense of our pure core, of maybe what we came into the planet with. And we begin there. We begin where we began. And we begin to look at what that voice gives us. And when you can also shore that up with coaches or therapists or friends, or intuitives, or whomever, family, friends, who can also hold space for you and validate what it is you hear in that connection, it can be really amazing to discover who you are. And as you discover who you are, of course, then you can plot it forward, right? You can begin to look at how you work, where you work, what you do for a living, how you enjoy yourself in your off time, how you live your life, how you parent your children. All of that has to flow from who you are at your core, rather than trying to let that float off of this person that you've become because, right? So in the process, back to the safe haven, when you're able to really be yourself at your core, when you are able to become the presence, the energy that exists inside of this meat suit that you wear. When you're able to finally tune up to that version of you, there isn't anything that can stop you. And if you are in complete alignment with the source or spirit energy, then you're inside of a beam of most brilliant platinum light that is so sweet and so permanent and so divine that you will embody your superpowers whether you want to or not, whether you know what they are or not. You will simply be unable to disallow them. And from that position, you can become your own safe haven. You can become a person that is reliable to yourself, to others. You can become a person who will treat yourself as well as you treat others. So if this process sounds daunting, please feel free to reach out. Many of you who watch and who follow have already done this process. You know who you are, you know yourself at the core, you're working from your core, you're leading from your core, and you are impacting the lives of so many other people, and for that I'm so grateful. If this sounds like something you are curious about, let me know. I am happy to help, because I can be your safe haven in the beginning until you learn to be that for yourself. This is Dr. Sage Breslin, and this is Wisdom Wednesdays.